down into your absent soul. Mike, 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 we can barely hear you. It sounds to me like you called us from inside a hole. But your phone calls lift me higher, like the ERA of Mark Pryor. Your hair looks like it's on fire. You're Mike Ferrin.
And there he is, Mike Ferrin, joining us live from his palatial estate somewhere in the great American Southwest.
Whoa, John, what are you doing over there?
What?
Come on now.
What? What am I doing? What am I doing?
It looks like you were pulling a tubin for a moment.
Just
What?
drop down your laptop.
Yeah, stop it. Don't do it again. Stop it.
It's just my keyboard.
Oh, yeah. Is that your keyboard? Are
I'm
you happy
fine.
to see Mike?
I've got pants on.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Excited to read you in the New Yorker.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez, John, disgusting.
I-
Hey, Mike, are you
Talk
excited
about-
for aliens landing in 2 days or maybe
Oh,
in 12
God,
days?
Here we go.
Well, sure. Where are they going?
I don't know. They're landing.
Well, I
They
mean,
have-
chances are they're landing in somewhere in your part of the world because that's where they usually do. You know, in Arizona,
and
New
yeah,
Mexico,
Roswell.
Nevada.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
I mean,
Yeah.
do you think they need Suns tickets? Because I don't know that I can help.
Suns in 4. Good question. Good question.
Have the Suns ever been more popular in the great Southwest?
Yeah, they're actually the favorite Sun down here. So I mean, no pun intended. They're they were the first pro sports team in Arizona, and so
That's true.
they were an expansion team in 69,
Nice.
and so nice. But they are still the most popular team in town. So everybody's going nuts. Like it's Suns fever, and rightfully so. Like it's a really good team. Devin Booker's a lot of fun, and DeAndre Ayton has played great. And Chris Paul is a dude, and when he's not, selling insurance. So it's been a fun run, and it's been fun watching the city get behind it because there's not been a whole lot to cheer about for the baseball team this summer.
No, there hasn't. Indeed, there has not been much to cheer about.
They're pretty bad.
The old Diamondbacks. We won't go there because
Okay.
there's a worser team out there right now.
No, there's not.
There is a worser
Are
team.
we going to start with
right
the Cubs?
now. I thought about
there's so much other stuff going on.
Yeah, there is a lot of stuff going on. The Cubs have lost 10 in a row.
No one cares.
Sell. All right, so how many?
Hang on a second. Josh, you remember when he wasn't going to care about this
Yeah.
season?
Yeah,
how
and
he
now
was
look, I am
disinterested in
asking
it,
multiple
and then now he's
questions
like,
here.
We can talk about
They're the
Shohei
worst team
Ohtani
in
being
the
like the
world.
biggest star in years, and we're going to lead
He
off
plays for a third place
with
team.
start off with the
Who
aren't the Cubs a
cares?
third place team?
What?
Are the Cubs a third place
No,
team?
they're a fourth place
Then
team.
what? Let's talk about Ohtani.
no,
All
they're
right,
still in
that's your
third
single
place. They're a
Cub
half
question.
game ahead of St. Louis.
There you go. 2 third place teams. You talk Cubs, and then I'll ask a Ohtani question.
So
I got 3 of them actually. So.
wait, you have 3 questions on one guy?
Hell yeah, I do.
Oh my!
Have you watched the guy play?
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Jeez, I thought he was a
There's
baseball
so many other
fan.
things going on. I mean,
Yeah, the Cubs losing 10 in a row. We know.
no, please, Josh. You
Oh, you want to go with Ohtani first?
sure? Why not? It's an all-star game question. Yay!
All right, Mike. Here's the question for you. And no, it's actually not related to the All-Star game, though it obviously is because he's an All-Star.
Well, yes.
What is it about his game beyond that he's a pitcher and a guy who also can go at bat and lead the league in home runs? What is it about him though that you think is so magnetic? Because a lot of guys hit home runs. We've watched a lot of guys hit home runs over the years, and yet he is maybe the only player that I can remember since, I don't know, Barry Bonds in his prime, where I actively seek out highlights of him hitting home runs. And perhaps the answer is because he hits the ball out of the ballpark like every other time. But there is something so magnetic and special about him that feels so needed for this sport right now. And I just love it. And so I wonder if you have an answer of why do we love this guy so much in an era where we can be incredibly cynical about seemingly everything?
Because he also throws 100 miles an hour and is one of the best pitchers in the league. I mean, really, that's what it is. I mean, it's like, listen, he's like, there are a lot of things about Ohtani beyond just the power, both on the mound and at the plate. Like,
Yeah.
he's a terrifically fast base runner. Like, he's one of the faster guys in the league. He's doing something that nobody has done in a century. And that guy who's, arguably the first truly unbelievable baseball player, only did it for like a year and a half. It doesn't seem like Ohtani's slowing down on either end of it. He's just ridiculous. And so, yeah, you get these aesthetically pleasing long home runs, and you get to see the home run highlights every night. But the other thing is that you get him then, starting tonight and probably hitting second in their lineup.
Yeah.
So I think that part of it is because he does both. If he were just a hitter, he'd be a great player and we'd still be talking about him. Or if he were just a pitcher, we'd be talking about him as, obviously the ace of the Angels staff and, as a potential long-term ace. But the fact that you marry it together, that's what makes it special. And Alex Cora, the Red Sox manager, I thought nailed it last night. He's not the best hitter in the league and he's not the best pitcher either. But you put both of those into one player and it's pretty unbelievable.
Joe Madden has basically given the blessing if they want to use him both ways, that they can use him both pitching and hitting in the All-Star game. Do you think, having watched Madden quite a while, I think there's an element to Joe that, he wants to do what's best for baseball. He's a baseball guy. But do you think if they were higher up in the standings, if they were a little bit closer in the wild card, that maybe he would be more reticent to give that approval?
No, I don't think so. As long as he's not pitching on the Sunday before, I think it's, generally, what's an inning? He's starting the All-Star game as the designated hitter. He was voted in by the fans, so he's going to get 2 plate appearances that way anyway. So, I don't think that there's any issue with it. I don't think it's any that, his blessing on it is any different than what you would see in a normal year. It's just that this guy's ridiculous and he's gonna be in the Derby on Monday. And then seriously, the league has taken away the best part of the All-Star game, which is everybody lining up in their home uniforms before the game. But as the trade-off, they've given us Shohei Ohtani, which is going to be incredible to watch them both hit and pitch in that game. And I don't know. There's been 4 pitchers ever that have had extra base hits in an All-Star game, and you have to go back to the 70s, the last time that happened. Would it shock you if he hit a 2-run homer? The only thing that's going to be disappointing is that DeGrom probably isn't going to pitch because he's pitching Sunday. But DeGrom v. Ohtani would be incredible. That to me that's one of those made for TV events. I think you're going to see a little bit of a bump in All-Star game ratings and certainly just the discourse and excitement about it because Ohtani's playing in it.
All right, I'll just ask one more. I won't ask 3 Ohtani questions.
Please.
Mike, this is an obvious one, but how important is he for the future of Major League Baseball? Because like you just
said.
No
pressure, Josh?
Yeah, he's going to get a bump. I know I'm going to be.
Without him, the sport will die.
I know I'm going to be more interested in the start of the All-Star game, but you think about the last, half decade, we all collectively agree Mike Trout is the best player in baseball, but he doesn't move the needle anywhere near this way for the casual fan or for a sports fan like me. So I guess I know that he's important, but what would him, here's the better way to ask this maybe, what would him being good to great over the next half decade to a decade actually mean for Major League Baseball?
Well, I think it'd be a huge boost. I really think the guy, though, is Tatis. I think that's the guy that has, what Ohtani does is going to appeal to casual fans because he's doing something that nobody else has done before, right? Yeah. So there's always going to be that element to him. Tatis, to me, is the most magnetic on and off field personality the game's had since Griffey. And he was the last one that really got you excited about baseball as a casual fan. So I think it's a combination of the two. I think the fact that they have both of these guys paired up at the same time, and then that they have, supporting cast around them like Ronald Acuna Jr. and Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Juan Soto and all of these young and players. And listen, I think it's great too that they're international players as well. I think that certainly helps with the appeal of the game. I think all of that together and the energy that they bring and the excitement and the way, the joy that they look like they have when they're playing baseball, I think all of those things are real positives. But I think from a pure marketing standpoint, Tatis is a dream. The guy is arguably the best position player in baseball right now, or on the short list for them. He is a magnetic personality. He's 22. He's bilingual. He's got the swag chain, he's got everything you want. And okay, so Ohtani last night, he goes 1 for 4 or whatever, and he's going to pitch tonight. He might hit a home run and all this, but then Tatis last night makes a play where it looked like he jumped. When he leapt in the air for a line drive, it looked like he caught a stepladder halfway up and was able to extend his leap even further, right? So he's doing these unbelievable things as well. And I think the combination of the two is just, it's sensational.
On the other end of the spectrum is Trevor Bauer and his situation. And it sounds like he won't even be back at the end of this week as the investigation into what happened with him continues. Was this an example of baseball actually doing the right thing, stepping in when they did and putting him on the administrative leave, but also at the same time being handled poorly by the Dodgers because they pretty much just shoved everything off onto baseball and made them make the move?
Yes, but I also think that I am a little bit surprised that the league didn't move faster, seeing as in just about every case like this, that they've used that administrative leave hammer almost as quickly as they could. And that's collectively bargained. I mean, that's something that they're allowed to do, to put somebody on administrative leave for 7 days. It's not an implication of guilt. They are allowed to extend it with the approval of the Players Association, and the player has the right to appeal after 7 days, but it's 7 days with pay, and then it can continue to be extended. In this case, it certainly sounds like it will be. So yes, I think the Dodgers handled it poorly. Yes, I think MLB did the right thing in the end, but they could have taken this out of everybody's hands. And as soon as, when the restraining order was revealed, that probably, certainly would have gotten everybody's, would have gotten everybody's antenna up when the details were revealed in the Athletic piece. That I was really surprised that after that, that's not when the league stepped in. Because remember, this is different. These are private organizations. There's not there doesn't need to be an admission of guilt, or there doesn't need to be a guilty verdict to be found if the league finds it credible. Because of the nature of domestic violence cases, where so many of them aren't prosecuted or aren't reported, the league can issue a suspension. They can level a penalty without, which is the case of just about any private employer. The players have some protection with the Players Association, but the Players Association is also protecting the players that would find this alleged behavior abhorrent.
Let's look at this just strictly from a baseball perspective.
That's very difficult to do.
It is, but I'm just looking from a Dodgers perspective then, maybe not baseball. Does this change what it is they're looking for at the trade deadline?
Probably not. I mean, they're probably looking for depth anyway. They don't really have a major, like a major hole that they're trying to fill. So I'd say that they're probably looking for depth overall, but that would be, so I don't think that necessarily, maybe they're more focused on a starting pitcher than they would be otherwise, but I don't think it really has a big impact on it that way.
Mike, rather than asking how long does this last, how long could this last?
I don't know. I think we have several domestic violence suspensions that have lasted, upwards of a year or close to it. I think, Domingo Germán was something like 80 some odd games after he was placed on administrative leave. Marcelo Ozuna also is on suspension for domestic violence from the case that happened in I want to say it was May, where police in their report said that they saw him strike his wife with the cast that he had on his hand after he had been injured. And so like there were some really, they're dealing with both of these issues concurrently, right? So I don't know. I think it depends on what information the league is able to get. I think it depends on if and where criminal charges are filed. I think all of those things factor into it. So I wish I had a better answer for you than to say that in the past. I think once the league got a domestic violence policy in place, which was probably 5 years too late to do it, they have done a pretty good job of ensuring that those who violated it have been penalized, and penalized severely.
We have moved now into 3 weeks since the more enhanced enforcement of the sticky stuff on the baseball. Jeff Passan put out a story late last week about just how much the spin rate has changed. And so far, now this was as of the end of last week, the average spin rate on a fastball is down 93 RPM. Cutters at 81 RPM, curveballs 78, and sliders 76, which is a pretty significant because there is an inverse effect. The lower the spin rate, the higher the batting average and slugging. I mean, we've got the graphics to prove it. It's amazing to watch the two go in opposite directions, and we're seeing that offense is certainly up. I guess two-part question. Let's start with the first part. After all the consternation and, players stripping on the field and managers, yelling at, players and players yelling back at managers, have we kind of reached more of a happy medium now where it doesn't seem to be as intrusive here now that we enter our third week?
I mean, I think it's still intrusive if you've got a reliever that gets nicked up on the mound and then has to, go through the strip search at county. It does feel a little intrusive still, but I think what you've seen is if you're watching a game, there are fewer and fewer of those checks that are being caught on camera unless they catch them, like right as they're coming off the field between innings, and they might get it for a second. So yes and no. I mean, I think we were always going to be most critical of it at the outset because it was new. It was the first time we were seeing it. I think we also, just the optics of it are still terrible. I mean, like you've got umpires checking guys as they're coming off the field. It doesn't change what the optics are, but I think from just the cooperation standpoint, it's probably gotten a little better, but I don't anticipate it to always be great from the cooperation standpoint, because if you give up 4 runs at an inning and your team is losing and you want to win, at some point there's going to be a guy that snaps. That's going to happen. They're going to have to deal with that.
Is the offense better? I mean, does the game look better? Does it seem better?
Different? I don't think it looks much different. Rob Arthur, who has covered the ball and the issues with it pretty extensively at Baseball Prospectus, had today that, offensive numbers are up, but they're basically on par with 2019. So, it's not like the strikeout rate has dipped so significantly that, all of a sudden we're looking at 1980s baseball anymore. Velocity is still king. Right. So, the harder guys throw, the shorter the timing window for hitters. So that's going to still be an issue, but at least there's a sense that it's being played clean, or cleaner. And that's I think a general positive, but I mean, we'll see. Like, as much as you're right, like we've seen offense tick up. We see offense tick up in the summer months anyway. Strikeout rate tends to go down. Like, let's get a little bit more data in this to see where it goes. Like, do we see a further offensive output? Do we see, as guys, face someone the second time with their new stuff, are they able to take more advantage of it? We'll see. But I don't think we have enough data to be able to jump to a conclusion yet on it.
Mike, what is it about Castellanos and hitting home runs at just the absolute worst time? Did you see?
Amazing.
You missed it
last night, time or best time, depending on how you look at it.
You missed it last night. He did it, and last year he did it during Tom Brenneman.
During the apology.
Last night he did it as the broadcast was celebrating a World War II veteran who had just passed away a couple of days.
Yes, they were doing during a eulogy.
Yeah. And then how about this? Somebody pointed out, I found this on Twitter, that his first home run, first professional home run came the night that Osama bin Laden was killed. So I don't know what it is about this guy, but last night's just destroyed me again. And it's like, and the poor announcers during all of this, but incredible.
Yeah, I mean, perfect time. And I thought, Ryan Lefevre, this was on the Royals broadcast that they were doing it, handled it as well as you could. I mean, this was dedicating, a World War II veteran who passed away on the 3rd, who was the father of a longtime Royals employee. And so, like, you're trying to do this coming back from break, and it's actually really, really special. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of it, Castellanos, hits a deep drive to left field, and that'll be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game. And I don't know if I'll be putting on this headset again. So, I think that there's, when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, you kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you're Royals TV. I think it just leads to a funny moment. But yeah, we'll see what other could you imagine him hitting a home run like what are the other things that we can anticipate potentially happening where Castellanos could get a home run? And furthermore, does it only happen in Kansas City? Because I believe it was against the Royals, right? That he did it, that he did it the last time too. So, right. So maybe it's just games in Kansas City that do the issue.
Same field, same opponent. Might have been a little bit later in the evening because it was darker at this point, but yes.
Hey, you ready? Full circle. What if the aliens land on Thursday or on the 18th, and in the midst of them landing, another home run deep fly to left field. And
well, that would be the
a homer.
opposite effect because then one of his home runs would be interrupted.
That's true.
I mean, well, I don't know that you
It's
necessarily
interrupted.
get that. I mean, what you get is, like a War of the Worlds thing, right? So you get, let's say John Sadek on a Reds broadcast going, fans, the aliens have come and they have landed in St. Louis, and there's a deep drive to left field for Castellanos, so that's 4-0. Please take shelter immediately, right?
Because I don't know if I'll be putting my headset on again.
I don't know if any of us will be.
Oh.
All right. Well, we've officially killed this penalty, and we don't have to talk about the Cubs.
I was going to say, you can ask the Cubs.
Sale.
I was
Nope.
just giving
Ask
you
your question now.
Nope.
Yeah, ask your
Nope.
question.
Nope. Garage sale. And garage sale's already on.
Okay.
Yeah. Just if you want to buy, they're selling. It's
Are
all for sale. All of it.
They are, huh?
Oh, yeah.
What's happening? Okay.
Is that what you want to happen, or that's what's going to happen?
If that doesn't happen, they better have a good damn excuse. That's all I'm going to say.
What if they extend those guys? What if they only trade Kimbrel and they sign all the position players?
Well, that's not happening because they're poor. They can't afford it.
Oh, yeah.
And they already
the governor
kicked off
of Nebraska
Chris
could
Ryan,
do something about that. Do you think he could help? Call the governor's office, see if there's anything they can do.
Be the wrong state, but yes, they could call the governor's office.
Well, I mean, I think the governor of Nebraska has a connection to Cubs ownership.
Yeah, I've heard
No,
about
that's right.
this.
Yeah,
I've seen
I
this,
know.
and I've heard about this.
Oh, so you're saying maybe my tax dollars could go to help?
No, I'm not saying. Well, I mean, maybe yours could.
How impressive?
Maybe
would
one of those special envelopes that pays off.
All right. Well, Mike, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the run of the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, Suns
I
in
will.
4.
Suns in 4. I don't think it's going to be 4, but I do hope that they win the championship. I'd be really happy for a great Iowan and Al McCoy to get the chance to finally call a championship in Phoenix. He's been the Hall of Fame voice of the Suns for a long time, and there's nothing like hearing him drop a Shazam. So,
Well, would they do a parade in Phoenix, or is it just too hot?
yeah, that's a good question. I would think that they would do something, but it might have to start at 5:30 in the morning.
Right?
Yeah.
A midnight parade.
Maybe they do it just they'll do like a bunch of pontoons out in Tempe Town Lake and just have everybody float around out there.
There you go. Yeah.
You know what? Have them do a
Lazy
lap.
River.
Have them do a lap inside of Chase Field around, and
Just over and over and over.
Yeah, during the 7th
and
inning
they can just bring
stretch.
people in and out, in and out, in and
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Perfect.
just do that.
There you go.
It's a good idea. I like that. Just everybody will gather at the convention center.
Perfect.
All right. Well, Mike, thank you very much, and we will talk to you next week.
Yes,
Bye, Mike.
I will be on the phone with you from Denver, I suppose, right? Because it's the
Oh.
All-Star game next Tuesday.
It is
Nice. We can talk more about Ohtani.
So you will be at the All-Star game. Are you
I
doing?
will be. In fact, I'm anchoring our coverage of the Derby and the All-Star game for the first time this year. So I've got to do Futures game Sunday, draft Sunday night, and then Monday and Tuesday on field for stuff. So
I was going to ask if you were doing the futures game. That's been your thing the last few years. So you got a busy week.
got a busy one, but it's going to be great. And my 8-year-old nephew, who is baseball mad, is going to be there for the Derby and stuff. So I'm really excited.
Oh,
The
this sounds
lone
like fun.
8-year-old baseball fan in the country.
Oh,
that is
stop.
that is so cool, Mike.
So wrong.
That is
Well,
so
listen, you got to. It just takes one. You plant the seed with one, and then it spreads like
Yeah.
wildfire.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
someday, Josh, it'll spread to you
Nah.
We don't want that.
It'll
because you
spread
wear a
to me-
mask. Hey,
It'll spread to me in October, and then November rolls around, and I'm like, okay, that was fun baseball. I'll see you
Yeah.
next October.
great,
Unless
and then you
we're
can talk
talking
about a
football.
3-6 Nebraska squad. It'll be awesome.
Oh wow, they're overperforming this year.
All right, Mike Ferrin, Sirius XM
See you
MLB
later.
Radio.
Bye,
Take care,
Mike.
Mike. Thank you. There he is, Mike Ferrin, joining us here on the program TV.
Oh. Good stuff.
That's good for him. Man, he's getting all
Busy
kinds of-
guy.
yeah, all
Busy
kinds
guy.
of stuff.
Yeah. I like Mike.
Oh, we should have given Ferrin advice that, the best thing to do when you're hosting the home run derby is to make sure every home run is punctuated with back.
Or a deep fly ball to left field. I
I
don't
don't know if I'll be putting these headphones on again.
Incredible.
We do have that audio, by the
Awesome.
way.
Awesome.
So I'll dump that in the system. We were gonna.
It's so funny.
We'll have it for you later. But yes, Nick Castellanos strikes again during an inappropriate moment. on
and then
the
I couldn't
podcast.
believe finding out that his first home run happened the day that Osama bin Laden was killed. Just awesome.
Gosh, for some reason,
In minor league baseball, by the way, not in the majors.
Okay, because for some reason, I always had it in my head, and maybe I'm conflating that with the death of Saddam Hussein, that happened in the wintertime.
No, it was April.
Gosh,
it was really early in the year.
Okay,
there was a Phillies game, if I remember right, on Sunday Night Baseball, and they started chanting USA, USA, like in the ballpark. It was a pretty cool scene. Pretty cool scene. 2011, a little over a decade ago.
Coming up, Michael Bruntz is going to join us.
He is confirmed.
And we will have a sellout streak update.
Oh, no.
When we continue here on Unsportsmanlike Conduct and 1620 The Zone. But first, a word from my friends with Radon Defense Midwest. Radon is a naturally occurring gas that does happen in the soil around all of us near our homes. And unfortunately, lengthy exposure to radon is one of the leading causes of lung cancer among non-smokers. Now, right now, the problem isn't as acute, but it can become more problematic, especially the longer you stay in your home. So do you know what your level is? Do you know the level of radon around your home? Well, that's where Radon Defense Midwest can help. They can test your property, and if they find out that the levels are above safety parameters, they can install a reliable radon mitigation system custom made for your home. They'll obviously go through the entire process with you, answer any questions that you have, and set up a plan for you to specifically work for your home. But the first question is, what's your level? That's Radon Defense Midwest. They can help. Go to radonradio.com, save $75 off a radon test, and start the process. Because whether you're in your home for a while or if you're planning on selling, a lot of inspectors are now insisting, as part of the sell process, to have a radon test. So whether you're in the home for a while or selling, keep Radon Defense Midwest in mind. The website is radonradio.com. That's radonradio.com.
For 19 years, Nebraska football has seen many long-standing traditions and streaks wither away and perish. 9-win seasons, dead. Winning seasons, dead. Bowl streak, dead. Every class enjoying at least one conference championship, dead. Having competent leadership, also dead. Having a decent soft drink option at the stadium, yeah, dead. But for 375 consecutive games, Memorial Stadium has been sold out, the longest continuous streak in the history of mankind. A streak born by and nurtured by the greatest fans in college football. But the pandemic and the fact that Nebraska can't even beat Illinois on a consistent basis has placed this venerable streak in the crosshairs of extinction. Now, join us as Unsportsmanlike Conduct presents a most special report. The Husker football sellout streak. Tradition on life support.
It is July 6th. We have yet to receive any kind of communique about the reopening of season tickets. We usually get that, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, we're in the process. It's still like the moment in time during the summer where current season ticket holders can move around.
Right.
New season ticket holders can figure out where they want to sit.
I received a communique from one of those season ticket holders who said he was on the site recently looking, examining, and said, in his words, not mine, quote, there was a lot of blue.
And blue?
Blue means it's an available seat. It's an available seat. Now, what a lot of is, we don't know. But the last map that we saw about a month or so ago did have a lot of blue. Now, I wonder if, in an effort to try to avoid putting out that email that says, yes, we now have 2,000 season ticket holders. Remember, they are claiming that there is a wait list. In fact, you can go and be a part of the wait list. If you are currently someone who is not a season ticket holder, but wants to be a season ticket holder, you can put your name on the wait list, and then they will contact you. And so it is possible.
What, like 5 seconds later?
Maybe. It could be that fast, where they want to jump in right away and say, yes, would you like to buy some tickets? How many tickets would you like to buy?
Yeah.
And so it's possible that they might be doing it a little bit of a different way this time around. So as when it is time to put out that email, maybe it will be, hey, the stadium's going to be sold out, and they're not going to have to worry about all that.
In theory, you're saying they're doing this so they don't have to admit that there are tickets available at this late of
Possibly.
an hour?
I mean, it could be just a different way of going about things.
Yeah.
But again, according to the season ticket holder who had just recently been on the site and was looking, just examining if they want to move. Because remember, if you move, there's a good chance you're probably going to be asked to donate more. Because
depending on where you move to.
Depends where you move to, unless you happen to be moving to worse seats, which I guess is possible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're down low and you want to sit up top.
Right.
Or if you're in the middle and you'd rather go to the sides.
But it will ask you for more. I don't know. It's been rather interesting to see how this process has moved on. And you do wonder if some of that had something to do with the timing of Bill Moose and all the other things.
Well, yeah, I mean, Lee Barfnick pointed it out last week, a couple weeks ago, a few other people pointed it out. The sparse attendance at the Big Red Blitz, that was noticeable. I mean, too, John, if you just look at the schedule overall this year in terms of the marquee home games, it's pretty weird because it's actually a good home schedule. Remember the years where we were lamenting, like, all right, so there's 2 bad non-conference teams or 3 bad non-conference teams, and oh, look, Iowa and Wisconsin are on the road, and Ohio State's on the road. This year, look, the non-conference, it sucks. Fordham in Buffalo, that's not fun in terms of home games. But Northwestern comes to town, guaranteed most likely to be a close game.
Yep.
Michigan comes to town for the first time since 2012. Ohio State, and I know, and that's the rub in all this, right? Some of these games, the Ohio State game certainly could end up being blowouts. Iowa's in town. But if you just look at the schedule from a helmet perspective, you get the winged helmet, You get the silver helmet with a bunch of Buckeyes on it. You get the Iowa helmet. I mean, like that. Those are some good helmet games coming into the stadium. And so, of all the years for there to be maybe a little trepidation amongst the fan base, it makes all the sense in the world from the on-the-field product for Nebraska. But schedule-wise, it's a good one. It's a schedule you want at home.
Nebraska's never hosted Ohio State and Michigan in the same year.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because they didn't play Ohio State the year that they hosted them last, right?
2012. No, they played them in 2012. They played them on the road, though.
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, they never had both of them come into town.
Never had both of them come into town before.
But this speaks much less to this and more to just the overall state of the program.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to make excuses, but I know people, and you mentioned the Lee Barfneck tweet from a couple of weeks ago about the attendance at Big Red Blitz. This is just from my perspective, just looking from the outside in. It wasn't promoted very much.
It was a pretty not last minute,
and it did seem like it kind of came on in a hurry.
2-3 weeks beforehand, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, late May.
And it was just coming off of baseball was still playing, so all the focus was on the baseball team.
Yeah.
And it was very hot weather that day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had 100-degree heat all across the state that day, and that's going to keep some folks away, especially more older folks from a lot of the towns that they were in, and it was a weekday. So the only people you do expect to show up to events like that are either kids, because they're not in school, or older folks, because everyone else is at work.
Yeah. That's fair. It's just crazy that a Scott Frost attended event, didn't have a whole lot of attendance.
Yeah.
I
put as much blame on the organization of the event and the timing of the event as I do a lackluster or lackadaisical fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not the most conducive to wanting to go out and see the team, when the coach is coming to town. Middle of a work day on a Tuesday or whatever day of the week it was. That's just my perspective. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Michael Bruntz and get his thoughts on a few things, including a couple of recruiting stories from the weekend and more when we continue on Unsportsmanlike Conduct in 1620 The Zone.